And in the early 80s, the Go-Go's blasted onto the music scene, shot to the top of the charts with hits like Our Lips Are Sealed and We Got the Beat. Well, after the band broke up, lead singer Balinda Carlisle struck out on her own, and her solo album, Heaven on Earth, went platinum. We recently caught up with Belinda in L.A. to talk about her life, about her passions, and how she really found peace and sobriety.
Hi, welcome. Here we're at we're at Golden Bridge, Santa Monica, and this is where I take a lot of my classes. So come, follow me. So this is where it all happens. This is where I take a lot of my Kundalini yoga classes. I got into Kundalini yoga when I was pregnant with my son about 23 years ago. So I was introduced to the yoga, but I absolutely hated it. I thought it was like, you know. But with sobriety, I got really into my practice. This yoga makes you feel good. There's no question about that. It's actually, you know, along with my 12-step program, it's actually changed my life completely. The Go-Go's were formed in 1978. We were sitting on a curb, 5 girls, one night at a party in Venice. Everybody was in a band except for us, and you could be terrible. You didn't have to really know how to play an instrument. So it was like, I'll play bass, I'll play guitar. So that's how the band was formed. Nobody knew how to do anything. In fact, we asked Charlotte to join the band because she knew how to plug in a guitar into an amplifier. We didn't even know how to do that. It was a party, and you know, of course, I think that behind all that, there was some serious ambition. And I remember running down the stairs with Jane going, we're gonna be rich and famous one day, you know? And looking back on it, it was like total manifestation. You know, we were like little manifestors. I mean, we went from zero, from that, in 1978 to having the #1 album 3 years later. When you're that young and that famous, I don't think there's any good way to be able to handle that sort of thing. I remember when we got our first credit card, and I maxed it out in the first day. Some of the girls bought houses in the hills. I, you know, bought racehorses and like crazy stuff, and you know, things that I wasn't able to do 2 years earlier. Back then, especially in the 80s, people expected musicians to be, you know, flaky and drug addicts and wild and crazy and partiers. So if that's what they want and they expect, then I can give it to them. And that's what I did. I remember the first time I did cocaine, the very first time I thought, when I get money, I'm gonna buy lots of this. I mean, that's like, you know, that's when it started. And I was an instant addict. It was, you know, a real problem. I was like obsessive compulsive. I was doing crazy things, like out of my mind in a convertible Mercedes that I rented and just leave it at the airport. I mean, that's how I operated. I struggled with addiction pretty much from 1981 through 2004. I remember my last 3-day binge where I looked at myself in the mirror, and I'd gotten to that point where there was just no light. And it was just like 2 sinkholes for eyes, and my skin was really gray, and I just thought, I know, I don't look like myself anymore. And I had an auditory hallucination, where a voice said that, you know, you are gonna be found dead in a hotel room if you don't stop. And I said, okay, I promise that I'll stop, but please let me finish what I have. And the next morning I woke up, and it was like, okay, now I'm ready. I can't go on like this. My husband, Morgan, and I have been married for 30 years. Because I spent a lot of my life on the road, especially during our marriage, I was able to maintain a secret life where he didn't know the extent of my addiction. And, you know, I called him, it was, you know, early in my sobriety, and he said, no matter what, I always saw who you were underneath all that. I think most people probably would have given up on me, you know, but thankfully he didn't. What it is, besides creating services for India street animals, which if you go to India, there's lots of street dogs, cats, cows, donkeys. Providing services for the animals, spaying and neutering, creating a network of veterinary care. We raised $15,000 on the rickshaw ride, and we're going to make that an annual thing and auction off seats in the rickshaws. It was the most fun I've ever had, and I want to do it every single year because I'm convinced that that's one of the keys to keeping young, is doing something like that. I'm doing things, as far as my life now, I'm doing things I never thought that I'd do. I always say I'm happier than I've ever been. I don't think I could be any happier, but my life is, it's incredible. High five.